Quay dropping a new hot one. Yeah. Okay, Quay. I feel you. New music. DJ Quay from Detroit. He just don't know juicy. He dropped hot 16. Let's go. Center. Right. There. To the brain.
To me.
What's good, man?
Man, I'm blessed. I can't complain. I actually got my little guy talking to my little man. So, you know, brother feeling happy today. It's a beautiful day. Working on Twitter fingers. You know what I mean? I got my boy Rob in the living room checking it out right now. So God is just moving, man. He's doing different things and he just being present to what's going on and what's happening. I'm on the show with you today, brother. You're looking all sharp. I see you over there in the blue. Yeah, you know what I mean? I see you.
Appreciate it, man. Trying to keep it together, man. And like I said, shout out to them blessings that's flowing over there, man. We watching that thing play out, man, day by day, man. So shout out to that, man, and everybody supporting what you're doing. But man, listen, shout out to everybody joining us today. This is Look in the Mirror, the Conversation. I'm one of your co-hosts, Quay Price. We got our other co-host, King Jaquil Martin. Yeah, like I said, we appreciate you guys coming out to support. We got another interesting topic tonight. Like I said, I want to hear all the perspectives on this topic tonight. But yeah, let me hit these sponsors real quick, then we're gonna get into this. Like I said, I know folks been riding me about this time lately, so we're gonna try to keep timely, as they say. Let me hit these sponsors real quick. You want to say something, man?
I was about to say, what y'all don't know, me and Quay was just in the back going at it about the topic. We going at it. You know what I'm saying? It's about to be a heated one. Because we don't always agree. We ain't got to, but we always going to agree and disagree out of love.
For sure. So let's let me get these sponsors real quick, then we're going to get on into this. All right. Shout out to our first sponsor, War on Friendly Grounds. This is the book that was written by our own King Jaquil Martin, 5-star rated on Amazon. He also has the short film as well, man. That is that thing is going crazy. Tearing up all the film festivals, man, just getting award after award. So definitely go support the brother. awaronfriendlygrounds.com. You can also get it on Amazon, but awaronfriendlygrounds with an S.com. And then we also got our other sponsor, Two Sons Juice Co., a cold pressed juice company based in Metro Detroit. All natural, no preservatives, no water, none of that. Just fruits, veggies pressed in the bottle. Good blends for the health, blends to get your energy right, blends to, cleanse the system out and do all of that. So definitely go check them out. The number 2sonsjuiceco.com, the number 2sonsjuiceco.com. All right. So let me drop this title, because I said we want to get on into this. And I said, if you're joining us down in the comments, just drop a comment, let us know you're here. What we also will do is post the link to the panel down in the chats as well. So I'm going to do that right now before we get going, so you guys will have it. If you want to join the panel with us and give your perspective or your input on this particular topic that we're about to cover.
And we about to cover it. We about to go in, y'all, because we need this conversation.
For sure. Now this is gonna be a good one here. Let me drop this in the other feed, then we get into it.
Hey, look, all right. Make sure y'all bring some friends on here. Make sure y'all make sure y'all come kick it with us. Make sure y'all come out here and give y'all voice and y'all opinion. We want to hear from y'all too. It ain't just about me and Quay or the same regular people that you see on here all the time, man. We want different faces, you know what I mean, from different places, so that way we can learn and get different perspectives from everybody. So y'all make sure y'all check out the link that Quay got on there on Facebook in the bio and join us, man. Come up here and have a conversation with us.
For sure. Like I said, we're looking for everybody to join and get us, get a perspective. Like I said, at the end of the day, we can't really make, that substantial progress or change our trajectory as a people, if we don't all come together with our perspectives and opinions and have these conversations, let's say, and get down to the root of these issues and see if we can't come up with some good solutions as we go forward. So yeah, let me drop the title for today. So the title for today is, have we lost pride? Have we lost pride? So yeah, we're going to kick this off with a little video. just to get this started, to give a little context for this conversation. So,
just like that, Quay, you ain't even gonna warm the audience up. You just gonna drop the bomb on them?
Man, I'm getting right to it, man. We're gonna get right to it tonight, man.
Quay is ready for some smoke.
We're gonna get right to it. All right. Let's get into this.
And as we began to walk through the airport, I saw so many, actually too many to count and too many for me to tap. But I saw so many of our young sisters in head bonnets, scarves, slippers, pajamas, blankets wrapped around them, and this is how they're showing up to the airport. And I've been seeing it, not just at the airport, I've been seeing it at the store, at the mall. I've been seeing sisters showing up with these bonnets and headscarves and these slippers. And the question that I'm having to you, my sweet babies, when did we lose pride in representing ourselves? When did we step away of, let me make sure I'm presentable when I leave my home? Let me make sure I'm representing the family I created so that if I'm out in the street, I look like I have pride in myself. And I'm not saying no full face of makeup. I'm not saying no full front lace frontal. I'm not saying none of that. All I'm saying is, could you please comb your hair? And if you don't want to comb your hair, they got enough out here now, baby, where you can style yourself up and look like you have pride. I'm not saying you don't have pride, but the representation that you're showing, someone would have to ask you to know that you had it. So my sweet babies, for the ones that do call me auntie, I love you for real. Even the ones that don't, I love y'all too. But
all right. So yeah, so just to give a little context, so this is our sister Monique, and this is an experience, or her experience that she's been seeing, via the airport, via other venues, grocery shopping, what have you. And she's just talking about the presentation or the brands, of some of the people that she sees. And I think in particular, she's speaking to us or Black folks, if you will. But she's speaking to that. And, last week we did a show about when do we become so quiet, right? So people not speaking up about things and not saying certain things that they see or not being vocal. And, because of this video, Monique has become the target, essentially of the cancel culture for doing this video. And, one, I gotta say this, I applaud anybody who can speak up for how they feel or what they believe in. I applaud that, because I said too many people these days are, are hushed up or suppressed, or blackballed, or whatever you want to call it. So I appreciate her, doing this video and giving her opinion or her perspective on this particular topic. But I felt like this was a good topic to touch on the show, because one, like I said, we just did a show last week about this cancel culture and not being able to be vocal. And now just the next week, here's a prime example of speaking out and giving your opinion to the public, and now having the public ready to cancel you for what you stated. And, like I said,
you think you slick.
Not at all, man. Not at all.
I like how you braided that together real quick.
Come on with it, man. Come on with it, man.
I like you took the last show and you wanted to tie this show in real creatively. Didn't let me know until it was showtime what we was really doing, and you wanted to put me in a straitjacket.
Nothing like that, man. Nothing like that, man.
And no wonder you just dropped the bomb. See, that was smooth though. So you wanted to surprise me with today's show. I rolled with you. I'm like, go ahead, you got it. And then you dropped the bomb, and then you dropped the video. And then after the video, you tied that real smooth together, like, to put a brother in the box. I just want to let.
Ain't no box, man. Ain't no box, man. So what you thinking, man? I can tell you want to say something, man. What you want to say, man?
look, see, y'all got to pay attention. Y'all see how Quay just set that up real smooth, like he gonna throw the alley oop out there, like I wasn't supposed to catch it. What you thinking? So after you catching me, bro, what you thinking? You got to watch out sometimes. Sometimes you got to watch the play. You put you in the situation.
No, real talk, man. Let's get into this, man. So this is, the context behind the discussion of tonight. Have we lost pride? So just based off that context, based off what folks have seen or people in the audience, I see we got some viewers right now. Do you guys agree with Monique? Do you not? Like I said, I want to hear everybody's perspectives. Go ahead, Los. You want to go ahead and get started, man, or how you want to kick it?
I think two ways.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Monique definitely has some points. So what we talked about, I think representation and how we represent ourselves is very important for the sacrifices that were made for us to be able to have these opportunities to be out in the world. I understand sometimes people want to be comfortable when they travel. I do understand that as well. I do understand we have a lot of judgments. What we talked about in the back room was, my conflict is I don't want to come off as every show as just bashing Black women about, oh, did they twerk? Oh, did they do this? Oh, it's like every little minute thing is always brought to a grander scale, right? When it comes to Black women. And I think sometimes that's really unfair because we don't do this with Becky or Kim or Lisa or any other culture like that, the way we do this point. But at the same time, do I think Monique has a powerful point about representation and how we look? And should she have the right or the authority to express her opinion about how we should be able to be represented without being bashed? 100%. 100% Auntie should be able to come out here and say, hey, these are ways we can do things better. 100% if we're saying that we want our culture to be able to grow, to have more opportunities, to this, to that, 100% we have to have some type of accountability and structure with it as well. But I want people to understand this. There's a difference in actually criticizing out of love because you want better than someone, or than just gossiping and spreading it from a toxic place. I'll start it from there.
Okay. Yeah, no, and listen, at the end of the day, I agree with that, man. And like I said, when you listen to what Monique said, the way she presented that and the way she stated it was definitely out of love.
I agree.
I want to put up another image as well. Well, we got a guest coming in.
Welcome. Hey.
Unmute yourself. You're muted.
Hey, at the same time, let's just not do women in bonnets. Let's do men running around with their pants sagging and their drawers out. Let's do how our brothers is walking around here looking like fools as well. We're not just gonna do this as a one-sided conversation, even though I know that's what Monique addressed. I do want to address the brothers just as well and how they're presenting themselves and the type of brands that they have and how we're looked at as men and what we're carrying on and how we carry ourselves just as well.
Correct. So yeah, so the reasoning behind that, or to respond to that, that is why, since my bad. Welcome to the show, Nicole and Chloe as well.
Hey Nicole, where you been?
That is why this is today's flyer.
Thank you.
Right, because I said this is not a one-sided conversation. This conversation goes across the community. This right here is this is exactly what you're talking about, right? So yes, this is an image of a brother with his jeans down. I guess this would be his pocket area. And these are his underwear. And this is how this brother is walking around. This is how he's looking out in public, right? So this is not, to your point, Los, this is not a one-sided conversation, man. This is a community conversation because as a community, men and women,
thank you.
We are not representing properly, right? If you look at this flyer as well, that is one of the main reasons why I put this other image up at the top here in the flyer. So no, this is just, I want to say this is either New York or Chicago, but this is just an image of how a lot of our people used to dress on a regular basis. So this is not church, this is not none of that. This is literally walking down the street on a normal day. So we went from this to sagging pants out in public, to bonnets and house shoes and pajamas at the airport and everything else, at the grocery store and everywhere else, and you name it. So we definitely have an issue. And like I said, it is definitely not one-sided. So I want to make sure I point that out. But
Be right back.
no, you good, man. You good. But yeah, this is just something, like I said, this is something that we have to touch, because I think as a people, we have to get back to focusing on our brands. We have to get back to how we carry ourselves. We have to get back to how we present. You know, and it's just funny that Nicole is on the show tonight. She talks about this all the time, about, you know, fellas and how they dress, you know, when it's time to go to a formal event, or how they dress when it's time to go to a business event. And she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. Like I said, you know, you can't be mad at a woman that wants to be with the man who knows how to carry and present himself, and represent her, for that matter, when they step out in public, even if he's with her at that time or not. That's important. But I want to get some female perspective, you know, since I got you two ladies on the show. So Nicole or Chloe, just give me your opinion on this. Do you feel like we've lost pride? Do you feel like we don't carry ourselves like we should, or like we used to? Just give me your thoughts on that a little bit. Either one, you can go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have, like, I mean, how can you, like, you know, and I'm wearing this bonnet for a reason, like, because y'all know I don't wear no bonnets out here like this. But like, how am I supposed to be taken seriously like this? Like, how am I supposed to get on here and talk to you guys about real things that affect our community, and I'm up in here with this bonnet on? I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. Okay, obviously I own several. So, like, I'm down with the bonnet, okay? I ain't got no problem with you if you want to wear a bonnet. You know, we've talked about that too. That before, there is a time and a place. But you know, I was listening to something earlier. I do not know this gentleman's name, but he was making a point that I won't take credit for it. It's not me, but he was making a point that when you take a people who you've taken their culture away, you've really kind of taken their identity, and you've put them in a land where they've had to learn another language. They've had to learn how to behave in a way that's acceptable to those who had them in captivity. And I hate to keep coming back to this, but so much of where we are and what we do is framed by our history. Like, we can't move forward if we don't acknowledge what has happened, the things that have happened to us in our past. And you can't take these people and drop them in the land of their captivity, in quote unquote free them, but they're still in the land of their captors. And after you've taken away everything about their culture and everything about their identity, and while they can look around and see that everyone else is allowed to exist within their culture, and have practices and have a way to dress and a way to talk and a way that they present themselves, while we don't, because it was all taken from us. So what we've had to do is we've had to create our own culture. And what we've done is we've looked at everything around us, and we all know that we are dropped into areas and in situations and in scenarios that always put us sort of on the bottom of the totem pole. So we're seeing poverty, we're seeing certain, we're seeing, or being told or taught to feel like we're less than, we're not as educated, we're not as important, we're not as capable, we don't deserve as much as someone else does. And when you take that on, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, your behaviors are going to start to exhibit that, right? You're going to start to manifest that. And I think some of these things that we're calling okay, some of these behaviors that we're calling okay, is because we've bought into this stuff and labeled it our culture. We've labeled it our brands. Well, this is just what we do. And a lot of us, men and women, we've made things that are simply just inappropriate okay, simply because we want to do them. It does not matter where those women were going. It doesn't matter if they were going to be on an 8-hour flight. Why are you in the airport with your not flip flops, because flip flop is a shoe? Why are you in the airport with your house shoes on and your robe and your pajamas and your bonnet, when you could have easily swapped out those pajamas for a pair of sweatpants or those house shoes for a pair of flip flops? I mean, you know what I mean? And you could have taken that, you could have waited with that bonnet. Like, if you really feel like your hair gonna get messed up by sitting still on a flight for a few hours, then I mean, sis, you could have at least waited till you got on the plane and was getting ready to take a nap to pull that bonnet out. If it's just that, if you just that hard up worried about your hair. It's excuses because we've made it okay. And now we're saying, oh, leave Black women alone. No, because everything you do is not okay. Everything you do is not okay. Black men, everything you do is not okay simply because you want to do it. And if we don't start speaking up and saying and calling each other to a higher standard and expecting more of each other, we're just going to keep perpetuating this foolishness. She's absolutely right. We should go out in public and want to present ourselves. This is our brand. We are our walking, talking representation of our brand. That's a brand. And you know, I mean, you don't save all of your energy for getting yourself and pulling yourself together just for when you about to go show out, when you about to be in a club, or you about to go somewhere so you could be seen and somebody can see you. Like, what about when it's just you presenting yourself to the world? Is this how you want to be remembered? Because see, your husband could have been in that airport and all he saw was some house shoes and some pajamas and a bonnet. Great marketing, sis. Great marketing.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Let's say you definitely definitely may have crossed your significant other and not even know it, your future significant other and not even know it in that particular situation. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. I'm glad you said that. You want to say anything, Nicole, or you good?
So I was trying to find there was another video. I can't remember the person's IG name, but he is a guy. He does like these videos for like every Friday. He does like a couple challenge videos, but he did a video kind of responding to Monique, and then I think he posted a couple pictures with a few different bonnets. And basically his way of kind of saying that is kind of acceptable, like kind of don't judge the person. And when I looked earlier, the post or whatever had like 30,000 views because the guy is pretty popular. So to me, that was striking because I'm like, okay, so obviously at this point, this is what the world deems acceptable. So our level of standard and pride has definitely dropped. And right. That may be his stance on it or whatever, but I did like the fact that there were a significant amount of people in the comments saying, no, this is something I'll never roll with, or I can't stand seeing a female that has a full face of makeup on and her outfit is great, but then I look at the top of her head, she got a darn bonnet on. Like, why is it acceptable for you to have this thing that is designed to be worn at nighttime or in the house outside? And also, why can't you just substitute it for a hat, a scarf, like one of the ones that you can kind of wrap around your head and kind of do in a little knot? I mean, I'm not too much of a fan of those, but if you got the right color scarf, you tie it the right way, it can be worn nicely.
Yeah.
Why do you have to strap upon it over your head? Like, it's not. And honestly, being outside in the humidity, your hair is still gonna sweat. It's still gonna be hot. It's still gonna get wet. Like, I don't understand the point, to be honest. So, has our pride decreased? Absolutely. And the standard has absolutely decreased.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it. Let me get Nina's comment real quick. She said, essentially, when did inside clothes become step outside clothes? That's basically, I think that's what she's saying right here. And I think Nina, you're absolutely right. I don't know when that changed. You know, when I was growing up, you know, there was clothes that you wore in the house, and then when you even thought about stepping outside, either you knew that it was time to change your clothes and be presentable, or your parents made sure they checked you before you even went out with some unacceptable stuff on or some unacceptable clothes on. And we have just, I feel like we're going down a road where everything is being deemed acceptable in the name of living your life. And I think that's a part of the problem. Like I said, what happened to the structure? Like, what happened to the advice, from the elders or the older folks? Or what happened to the standards that was set by the parents and the grandparents and the great grandparents and the uncles and the aunties? Like what happened to that stuff? Like, and speaking from a male perspective, I've always known women when they knew that, and listen, ladies, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I've always known that women, when they knew that men possibly were going to be around, they made sure they was on point. And that's just from my experience. And even if they was on point with a sweatsuit on, but they was going to whip that little hair up in the little ponytail, whatever they had to do with it, they was going to throw a little something on, a little lip gloss. They was going to do something. But they was going to make sure that they was presentable when they knew that there were other men or going to be men around. But I don't know what's happened to that. Like, I don't know if we've just lost that. I don't know if is it a matter. I don't know, ladies, tell me this. Is it a matter of the ladies just don't care anymore? Like, do they feel like there's no real prospect, so they don't care what they present? Like,
I don't think that's completely it, because, to be honest, I still see certain women who do have that standard. They're not going outside, honestly, if their hair not done, or if they don't have makeup on, or if the outfit not looking right or something. Like, there are still women that are like that. I just think for whatever reason, there's just been a newer thing where it's been glamorized to really just, live how you want and you can do whatever. But no, there are still there. I think there still is a structure. It's just not. I don't feel like it's glamorized as much anymore.
Okay.
I was going to say something else. I kind of forgot. But yeah, I don't know where it started. I don't know why it started, but now I do feel like it's just more glamorized to kind of be how you want. But I will say there are still people with that type of like beauty standard, or their family, is still giving advice. And honestly, when it comes to prospects, honestly, those are the ones that are getting picked. Trashy stuff like that is not getting picked. So I think for whatever reason, however that started, I will say like that. If you see that, I feel like that's just an easy way to kind of separate either like in regards to morals, goals, things like that. Like, honestly, I feel like you just kind of labeled as a hot mess when you coming out looking like that, to be honest.
Okay, I appreciate that. Go ahead, Los. You want to say something?
I think that women do that for the right person. For the man that shows up the right way, that they feel like they need to get dressed up, clean up the house, do a little extra things. If they find value in it. Sometimes we have expectations that we don't meet. Sometimes we dropping the ball and we're lacking. I feel like people put value where they want to put value. People give time to people who they really want to give time to. You have situations where a person or a young lady might see a person of standard and say, well, I need to match the standard because I don't want to feel less than. I don't want to feel this. So they go out the way to have a standard. And then other times, oh, that's just what's his name. I'm chilling. I'm not going to do all that for him or this person. You know what I mean? So sometimes I think it depends on the value of the person or how they value who's coming over, who they're around, you know?
So then immediately I'm asking where your self-love at.
Well,
Exactly.
but sometimes it's just, I'm comfortable. You know, maybe sometimes you just do your comfortability.
I get it, and I get.
I'm not saying it's wrong, Nicole, but if it's one of your people just coming over, you're like, oh, that's just the homie. I'm chilling. You know what I mean? It's just sometimes how you see a standard of a person.
But it's not.
Nah.
Oh, go ahead.
Because my grandma would be like, ma'am, so what you got on? Honestly, she would. Before she even talking about when I got on, she commented on what skin showing, really. And then what's sticking out, like, oh, this not fitting right, this ain't looking right, you need to size up, size down, something. So that's my grandma. So
I believe we have that. I believe we do have that side of the equation. I do. We do have people that have structure. I think we have men that run around here wearing belts. I think we have men that dress around and look like Kwesi and look dressed nice all the time to the T. And then we have the other side of the spectrum, the other side of the totem pole. Well, they ain't doing all of that. You know what I mean? So I'm just talking about from the other side of the perspective of who don't do that, and possibly some of the reasons why they don't.
Yeah,
or it's the fact that you're lazy.
That too. That's part of it too.
Really lazy.
I mean, so, you know, quality of life or self-pride, like you said, some people don't have that type of pride themselves. Some people weren't taught those type of disciplines or those morals or that muscle or have exercised that muscle. You know, I'm just looking at the thing from, or trying my best to look at it from full circle, you know, just the full spectrum. Should we have standards and morals? Obviously, of course, when we walk outside, you are your brand, and how you look represents you. Of course, like when I grew up, my mother was like, make sure you pull up your pants, make sure you do this, because this is a representation of all of us. You know what I mean? Everyone didn't have that passed down. So I'm just looking at the different perspectives of who got what and who didn't. Why one person might do this and why one person might not, you know?
You want to go ahead, Chloe? You want to respond?
Yeah, no, I guess I can understand, you know, someone feeling like, you know, there's people that they want to, you know, like if I'm gonna be just around friends or something like that, like I can get that, but that's not really what we're talking about, at least from my perspective, right? We're not talking about if my girls come over to my house, then we're just like kicking it, right? Like if my girls come over to my house and we kicking it, then, you know, we might be real relaxed. We might be like, everybody wear their pajamas or something. We not even gonna go out. We just gonna kick it. But we're talking about when you present yourself to the world. And for me, that's different, right? Like, what about yourself, right? Your self-image. And what about, you don't know who's gonna be in that audience. You don't know if it's gonna be somebody that you ain't even worried about, or if it's going to be somebody that you should be worried about. You don't know who you're going to meet when you step outside your door. That's why they always say first impression matters, right? Like that shouldn't be your first impression. That should be. And then you'll hear women say stuff like, I can only speak to women, guys, because I'm not a guy, but I'll hear women say like, oh, well, I don't do all this. You ask them, why are you doing the lashes? Why are you doing the nails? Why are you doing the weave down your back? And the first thing a woman will tell you is, I do this for myself. I do this because I like the way it makes me feel. I like the way I do this for myself. This ain't about no man. This is about me. Okay? They'll tell you all that. So if that's true, then why are you not dressing up? Because you think where you going ain't nobody that's going to be there important for you to see you. Because if you're doing all of that for you, then you should want to always represent you when you step out the door. It shouldn't be based off of who's going to be there, although you don't know who you're going to run into. That's the truth. You have no idea who you're going to run into when you step outside your door. No idea. That might be your blessing might be coming through that day. You have no idea what's about to happen when you step out that door. So what I'm saying is always be prepared. Like, you don't want to run into the life-changing moment and you in a bonnet, some slippers, and a robe. Like, you're not ready. You're not ready. So, I mean, I just don't understand how anybody is trying to justify that. Exactly, Nina. I don't get it. Because in other circles, they're not even talking about this. It's not even a topic of conversation. Why must we have This topic, like, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about us looking at the things around us. And if that's all we see around us, the social economic situation that we see around us is very different than some of our counterparts, right? Very, very different. So that is influencing now what we call our culture. So it's making us place our culture when we design because we unfortunately have had to redesign our culture because they took it from us. So now when we design our culture, we design it with the framework of how America views us. That's the only reason why I could think of why we would think it's okay to step outside in a bonnet, because America has told us that we're less than. America has told us that we don't really amount to much. We don't really deserve much. We shouldn't really think much of ourselves. And to me, that is why we would think it's okay, or a woman would be justifying going outside in her sleep clothes. That's all I can say for it. Like, I'm sorry. You're not going to get any excuses for me. It's not okay. And I'm not going to sit up here and tell you I never wore a scarf on my head, because I have worn a scarf on my head before. But I draw the line at the bonnet. And y'all know I'll put a wrap on my head in a minute, okay? Baby, because I love a good wrap. But that actually is cultural.
Right. And the wrap and the bonnet are two different things. And I totally agree with you on that. Yeah, like I said, I feel like we have, and once again, I do have to agree with Monique. There's supposed to be a certain level of pride. I want to put this image up just because I came across it and I just feel like it's important. And go ahead, man.
Why do we have a problem with what Monique said?
You said, why do we have a problem with it?
Why do we have such a problem?
People don't want to feel judged, or they don't want to feel like somebody is telling them what to do.
But
they can't accept
it. How Monique did that out of a place of love and a place of respect. And so my only thing is, how are we able to grow with no correction?
Because people don't understand exactly what you just said. They're not trying to grow. They just want to be told everything that they're doing is fine, is okay. Some people, from what I've seen, cannot understand that there are levels to this ish and that it's structured. I don't get that. But also, before I forget this train of thought and the image, at least to kind of what you said, King, about like, okay, some people may not have been introduced to this way of standard. Coming from where I come from, where that really wasn't seen around, it was really like, really grandma just being different. And at a point, I'm like, well, I like how this looks. And I, at a certain point, didn't understand until I got older. Like, okay, now I see that how, and things that she said is actually a standard in certain settings. It was still at a point, especially when going to school, really reinforced.
I can't, hold on, I can't tell where that's coming.
Is that me?
I think it was you, Nicole.
I think personally, as a culture, we do have to get back to standards and morals are things that we do have to get back to. Create the change that we want to be treated how we want to be treated and looked at how we want to be looked at. I mean, if you go shopping, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna, the first choice of store that you're gonna go into is gonna be the one with bullet holes and everything else into that store. So if you walk outside and you're not looking your best or in your best situation, you can't be upset if someone wants to have an opinion about that. You know what I mean? You are what you represent. I mean, don't get me wrong. You shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, if you're able to address the cover to be seen in a different light or a different perspective, that's an opportunity for you to look good and do something different just as well.
Exactly. And to that, what I was saying, like that standard was reinforced. So when it came to, okay, certain people are getting deals or certain people are getting approached or businesses being done in certain settings, and I don't know why I'm not getting this business or why this person isn't coming up to me and addressing me that certain way. So it, at some point, like it was like, okay, well, maybe I do need to make a change. Maybe I do need to, make sure that I am a certain standard everywhere I go. And then at that point, I mean, I just became used to it, and I didn't really have a negative view about it because I'm like, okay, if I need to conduct business right here this day or then go to lunch same time, I can do that. So, I mean, at some point, I feel like it is introduced to somebody or reinforced.
Right.
So personally, I don't have an excuse for it, and I'm not giving nobody to make an excuse for it.
Okay, my love.
From my experience.
Okay, my love. My loves. Now, my loves, we have to do better, my loves. We have to dress apart, my loves, because people have made sacrifices to be here, my loves. Now, like honestly, man, we just got some certain things we do have to do better. But I wonder. Here's the thing. It's interesting how every little minute thing we do does get blown up, and then we highlight it, and then we address it, right? But then there are certain times where certain things need to be addressed. And for me, I think from the perspective of where Monique is coming from, this is one of those situations. We don't have to talk about, well, she twerked, or she did this, she did that. Look at it. No. But as a culture as a whole, how we represent ourselves in this world, in this short time of life, and how we go out into the world and how we look and what is our brand, I think that is a subject worth talking about. I do think that's something important. But what I don't want to consistently happen is to allow social media to influence how we continuously disrespect Black women and nitpick on everything or whatever else a black woman does, why she got attitude, why she got this, why she got that, or downplay Black men in society. But there's times where things need to be corrected. And this is one of those times. I'm not even just talking about the bonnet. I'm talking about how we have self-respect for ourselves and how we carry ourselves when we go into the world, and who we are and what we represent and the lineage that we come from and the things that we've been through, because we've been through too much not to put our best foot forward and to continuously do that. So from that perspective of mine, I salute Monique being brave enough to come out to be able to tell the truth, because we live in 2021 where the world is addicted to lies. And when you hear the truth, I'll get that truth out of here. I'll cancel it. No, she told the truth about something. There's nothing wrong with saying that, hey, we should represent ourselves better. There's nothing wrong with Big Mama saying, where you going looking like that? No, ma'am. Not in my house, not wearing that last name. That's not what we're doing, and that's not who we are, and that's not where we come from. And I think that's what we are missing, that in our lineage, because we got kids raising kids. We don't have the same pride or respect that we used to have. And when someone does have a standard like that, we want to talk about it. Look, she thinks she all of that. She leaving the house like this. She Miss Goody too. We bash a person for actually having standards now. And it's actually backwards. So the person that has the standard is the person that gets bashed. And the one who wants to drop the standard, that's supposed to be the new wave? When? How? Your turn. Somebody goes.
Yeah, and I want to, let me throw this up real quick. And then, like I said, then Chloe, you can go. So I know you wanted to say something real quick. But, yeah, like I said, I came across this image, and I just wanted to put this up here. I said, this is an image from back in the day, clearly. And these are kids. Like, these are little young fellas. And like I said, I'm talking suits, I'm talking dress socks, and I can tell ain't none of these little brothers rich. And none of them, I can tell. But you can tell that they still have pride in what they present. And clearly their parents have pride in what they present when they step out the house. And like I said, this is what is in our generations. Like, this is what our grandparents lived. This is what our great grandparents lived. And we are just losing sight. Like I said, I'm not saying we have to do the exact same thing, but a lot of these foundational concepts, a lot of these foundational mindsets, we have to get back. Like I said, some of the things that are going on today, they would not be accepted. Yeah, I can only imagine what a couple of these grandmas will be saying today. I can only imagine what a couple of these great grandmas would be saying today. I can already hear the, girl, if you only knew what we went through, so you had this opportunity and this what you doing? Like I can hear it. I can hear the granddaddies talking about, boy, if you know what I had to deal with to make sure y'all had what y'all needed so y'all could do what y'all need to do, and this what y'all doing, I can hear it, man. So man, like I said, we got to get back focused. We got to get back to those foundational cares around our presentations, our brands, what we present, how we speak, how we articulate. That's a whole nother topic. But yeah, we got to get back to that.
When we talking about that?
That's a whole nother show.
You sound like what? I can't.
I hate that. I can't stand that. I almost want to backhand a person to say that to me. I'm like,
but let me let Chloe go. I didn't mean to cut Chloe. Go ahead, Chloe. I want to let you respond. I know you want to respond. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's interesting that point that you made about our grandparents and showing that photo. Like it seems like we can only bring up like our ancestors when it's time to defend why we should be doing something. Oh, you should be voting because your people died for you to have this right. And right, how am I supposed to rebuttal that, right? Like, how do you really rebuttal that other than to say, yeah, but this ain't why they died. Like the situation that we're in today is not why they gave up their lives, not why they made that sacrifice, right? So that we could walk around in a bonnet. So let's have some perspective, right? If I'm supposed to respect their sacrifice enough to want to go to the polls, then I should also respect their sacrifice enough to want to present myself like somebody who's worthy of their sacrifice. Because they certainly didn't sacrifice so that I would have the right to wear a bonnet wherever I go.
Say that again, Chloe, for the back of the church.
They did not sacrifice their life and their livelihood and their children so that I could have the right to wear a bonnet or for dudes to have their pants sagging anywhere we go. Like that's not what their sacrifice was about. And let's just fast forward. I know we protest today or whatever, but back to my point about being taken seriously. When those men and women were walking up and down the street protesting, those men were in dress suits and slacks, walking down the street protesting. Women were in dresses in a lot of cases. They were dressed just to walk down the street and protest. So what I'm trying to tell you is it's just the way they carried themselves. When they wanted to be taken seriously, they knew how to put on their big girl panties and they big boy draws and do what they had to do to present themselves well. I mean, these people, like these were the standards. But now we have completely and totally gotten away from that. And we want people to accept us any kind of way. And then when people complain, when we say, well, wait a minute, that ain't quite right, then we want to cancel them. Or we want to say, oh, well, leave Black women alone. Black women, first of all, I am a Black woman. I'm never going to leave you alone because I love you. And I know you are worth so much more. I know you can do better. You are more than what they have placed you in this society, in the position that they placed you in this society. You are way more important, higher, more capable than that. So I'm always going to call you to a higher standard because I know you can not only meet it, but you can exceed it. So yeah, I'm always going to speak and call you out at all times. And I hope that you do the same for me because iron sharpens iron. That's how we do that. And about that whole point about, that kind of was my point. I had another point. I lost it. Sorry, y'all.
So,
but,
Chloe,
yeah,
Dr. King didn't do his "I Have a Dream" speech in a wave cap.
No do-rag, no wave cap. He had a belt on his pants. I mean, it's just come on, guys. Like, come on, let's stop trying to justify this foolishness. Oh, you know what? I remember my point. What I was gonna say, something that King pointed out, was when he said that there is a difference, right, between us just nitpicking and calling every little thing out and putting it on display and us actually speaking and saying something that's worthwhile because we're trying to, help each other, school each other, and help each other. Right, that whole world star thing. I'm not talking. This is what Monique is doing. Is not the whole world star. Let's exploit the Black woman because we caught her on camera doing this. Right. That's not what this is. This is actually a woman saying, man, I'm really seeing something and it's got me concerned. And I just want to talk to my people because I'm concerned about where we're headed. This is different. This is not that. We have to recognize when somebody's really coming from a place of care and love and when somebody's actually trying to exploit us. This woman has zero reason to really try to exploit us. She could have kept her mouth shut and she wouldn't be looking at another cancellation situation. She could have just shut up about it. But if she gave examples, I saw her rebuttal video. She gave examples of women in her life who didn't shut up, who told her what she needed to hear, even though it wasn't, what she may have wanted to hear, and it helped her.
Right.
How will we ever grow or progress if we don't have people who are on the outside looking in and saying, wait, I don't know if you should do that way. And it's coming from a place of love. We can't always be so defensive about everything.
Listen, my babies. Listen, my loves. My loves. I'm sorry, Monique. I love you. My babies. I just want us as a culture to do better, my loves. No, for real. We have to. And I thank you. At the end of the day, sometimes you just got to be able to just say thank you. And when it comes from that place, not the shade room, not world star, not bashing, not trying to get clout, not just trying to get likes and views just because I want to say something ridiculous. But when you actually really have a real point, when you actually just saying, hey, is this the type of brand that we really want our culture to have represent us? Or are we more than that? How are we supposed to be getting taken seriously? Can we show up differently? And showing up differently, like I think one thing that I appreciate my brother Kwesi, when you brought up the pictures, those weren't 3-piece suits. Those weren't Amani suits. You know what I mean? Those were just, look, this is what I have, and we're going to put you guys together, well-dressed. I remember my grandmother, and I was going to say this for the end, but forget it. I'll let God do what he do. I ain't got to say nothing. I remember my grandmother gave me a choice on Easter Sunday between a suit and some Magic Johnson shoes. I chose the shoes. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. 100%. And I chose the shoes because I wanted to fit in instead of just doing what was right. And sometimes I think we are always just trying to fit into the new fad, the new culture, and just instead of standing our ground on what's right. And that's why I wanted to say that example. Are we out here really choosing the fad over choosing who we really, really are? If we're really the kings and queens that we say that we are, can you please show me a picture of Nefertiti or any of these Egyptian goddesses or people that you talked about running around looking like that? I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe you can re-educate me. I'm willing to learn and grow. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, are we a representation of the kings and queens that we say that we are? Don't just call yourself that if you don't want to walk into that light. King, myself, me. I'm not talking to y'all. I'm not even having a conversation with y'all. I'm having a conversation with myself. Because maybe if I talk to me, maybe y'all might be able to talk to y'all selves. There are things that I have to do better. Get in the gym. Make sure that I wear a belt. Make sure that I stay wearing a tie, looking nice. Even the way I show up on the show, right? I mean, I show up on the show the way I show up on the show because me and Quay wanted to have a little bit of balance of the brother this stage looking sharp and then the one that could just relate to everyone else. But at the same time, you know what? Even when I come on the show, we might have to switch. Just let y'all know I can get clean too. You know what I mean? Just so y'all understand that there's a standard over here too. Don't let the t-shirt fool you or whatever else. But representation. Sometimes it's hard to relate to somebody that you don't think that looks like you. So sometimes we dress in certain ways so that way you can feel comfortable enough to be able to relate. But when it's time for me to get, here's my question. Why is that when we get in our bag and we get all dressed up for Easter Sunday on church or whatever else we can get in our bag? Why is that when we're going to a formal or a fitting or whatever else, we can get in our bag. But we don't want to consistently stay in the bag, but we want the bag. And that's a question for me. That's a question for the success that I want. That's a question of, one day, I was shout out to my brother London. Shout out to my brother Chris Lofton. I did Ballers with them, right? And what I will say about these two young men is they stay sharp, bro. Even when they go on the gram and they just kicking it and they just talking to somebody. And I had to really compliment these brothers because I look at their swag and I'm like, man, I really never really catch a day of them really slipping where they just comfortable. And probably why is because of their brand and who they are and the level that they are and the playgrounds that they want to play on. If you want to play on different playgrounds and play in different environments, you have to have a different type of consistency and discipline in your life. Period. You can't ask more or want more if you don't want to take on the responsibility or the discipline or consistency that it takes to have that. So I got to check me. Go ahead, Quay.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it is, man. We just have to represent ourselves better. Like I said, we're very intelligent people, very smart people, very driven people. But we have to get back to marketing or representing what we want, right? You know, like I said, just a lesson to the sisters and the fellas, right? So fellas, when you out here, you know, looking for a new lady, new prospect, if you will, you can't roll up on the new lady with the do-rag on. She's not gonna take you serious. You know, you can't roll up to her with the pants sagging, with the busted, with the skinny jeans. She ain't gonna take you serious. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And I'm gonna flip side that for the ladies. Ladies, you know, y'all say y'all looking for fellas out here, but you can't roll up to the prospect fellas with the bonnet on. I see Nicole smiling. She know what it is.
I ain't gonna lie, cause sometimes though, lady, oh, bonnet and all, you still look good.
No, and I'm not saying that, right? So I'm not saying that, you know, someone is just not naturally attractive or naturally beautiful or naturally handsome, whatever you want to call it, right? But your presentation matters. You know, you want somebody to take you seriously. You want somebody to, you know, for the fellas, you know, from the male perspective, you want the female to know that you're serious when you come to approach her.
Big fact.
So you want to show her that you're willing to put in effort to get her attention and her response and her engagement and conversation. And that's the same with the women. You know, you want the man to take you seriously. You want the man to reciprocate what you're putting out. So you want to make sure, you know what I'm saying, what you present to that man is on point. Because like I said, if that brother's on point, he's going to respond to that, you know, positively. And that goes for business interactions. That goes for corporate interactions, man, professional events, you name it. So I said, at the end of the day, like I said, we just have to get back to what a lot of us were taught. Like I said, I think a lot of us were taught these things, but we're either not passing it down or the generations below us are not absorbing it. Like, I think that's where we're going wrong. And I'm gonna take a moment only because I'm feeling it. So I'm gonna take a moment. And I'm not even sure if my mom is watching this show right now. Not even sure if she is, or my dad. I'm not sure if they watch. I think they might be. But I'm gonna be transparent for a minute. I'm gonna tell y'all a little story. So when I was a little dude, 5, 6 years old, back in whatever that was, kindergarten, whatever it was. I'm gonna tell y'all this story, right? So I was a little guy in school, and it was a Christmas play or something like that that was going on. And I'll never forget, we were supposed to wear some red pants and a white shirt, right? I'm sure we all have been through some type of little play. We were supposed to wear the red pants and the white shirt, right? And I remember tripping out because there was these little cargo red pants, whatever they were, that I wanted. And my mom just insisted on making me some pants. Now, I know, you know, as a young fella, you know, and I'm sure you guys can relate, you know, you get a little embarrassed. You're like, making me some pants. You know what I'm saying? Like, why you just can't buy some pants like all the other little kids, right? But I'll never forget this. My mom made me some pants, and these were some of the cleanest little pants ever. And when I got into this little Christmas show or musical, whatever it was, I was clean with it. And to this day, I believe in representing and being clean. Like I said, and I try to present that to my sons as well. To be clean, make sure you present yourself well when you step out the house and represent yourself. So I said, a little transparent moment. Shout out to Barbara Price. I don't know if she watching, but I ain't never forgot about the red pants she made way back in the day. But I appreciate that. I never forgot it. Let me get this comment real quick from Nina. She said, well, I can say this. Our generation had big mama and aunties. The generations that are coming behind us don't have that. But Nina, we did have the generation of the big mamas and the aunties, but can we not, pass that down to these younger generations down below us? Respond to that for me. And then Nina also said they don't have the whole village, which I will agree with that. The village is breaking, or there are some breaks in the village, right? I still think there's some pieces of the village that still exist, but the village is not as solid and cohesive as it used to be. So I will agree with that. Oh, Los, what you got on, man?
Yeah, we can get a little dapper. Gotta get a little dapper every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Gotta let them know we can get dapper. We can get dapper too. You know what I'm saying? We can get educated. Can't let you be the only one clean on the show all the time.
It's all good, man. It's all good, man.
Taking it back off.
Oh man, you crazy, man. You crazy. But yeah, no, I think like I said, this is important. And let me say this. We don't come on this show to bash women, right? We don't come on this show to bash men either. But I will say this, one of the focuses is to help change our trajectory. It is also to, force us to look in the mirror and look at what we're doing and how we're looking at things and how we're going about things that we do. And I think this particular topic falls into that bucket. Like I said, we're more than that. Yeah, we have more than that in us. And I think we got to get back to showing that. Like I said, I have to use Nicole as an example. Like I said, she always talks about, fellas being able to dress and present when it's time to handle that business. And that is important. Note to the fellas, that is what ladies are looking for. They want that. That is on the list that we talk about, right? And it should be. It should be on the list, because at the end of the day, the fellas, you want your lady to look a certain way when you stepping out and she's on your arm representing you. You want the same thing. Yeah, when you take her out to the corporate event, you know what I'm saying? You want her to, be able to handle herself and look the part and execute as such. So, the ladies ain't wrong for wanting that. So I'm not mad at the ladies for wanting that. And I said, the fellas, you should want that same thing as well. Nina's comment, we can, but I feel like something is missing. And I agree with you, Nina. We got to figure out what that something is, though. Something is missing. Something's definitely missing. Go ahead, Los.
Accountability is missing. Because when somebody wants to hold you accountable, you want to counsel them. You want to talk about them. You want to shoot the messenger because you don't want the message. You want to get to heaven, but you don't want to go through the wilderness of correction and learning the process. Because that means you have to do something. That means you have to change. We just want to complain. Sometimes we love complaining. Sometimes we love toxicity, our own BS. And the truth is, how can you expect for someone else to look at you differently if you don't want to look at yourself differently? How can you expect someone else to respect you if you don't want to respect yourself? We have to have our own standard, our own morals, our own high ground. And you ain't got to do it for no woman or no man. You can do it for the person in the mirror. But sometimes you're scared to look at the person in the mirror because guess what? You can't lie to that person. That person know if you're really telling the truth or not. And that person really going to challenge you because you're going to say this and then the mirror going to look back at you like, really? Okay, we're going to see. Because I know you. I know you better than anybody else. Accountability. We just got to get back to being accountable. Yeah, I threw the shirt on, you know what I'm saying? Got to switch it up every now and then, let you know I can get proper. But we just got to get back to loving ourselves. I really think that we've been robbed of our own self-love because we've been trying to please somebody that don't want to be pleased. And in pleasing someone else, we forgot to love ourselves and love our own standards and love our own morality, and we become lazy in certain things. And in the laziness, we come up with these justifications of why it's okay to drop our standards and our morals or whatever else. We just got to be honest. And sometimes we don't like the truth, so that's why they like cancel her. Why would you want to cancel somebody who's trying to tell you something out of love? just because they want better for you, just because they want better representation for themselves. Sometimes you just got to get a good kick in the butt, a good reality check. And when someone says something like that out of love from that perspective, not only says it, but gives just different examples. And if you're actually emotionally available or have enough emotional intelligence to see that, hey, this person's not attacking me. This person isn't trying to pull me down or just be a crab in the barrel. They're not just doing this for clout, but they're actually doing it for love. And you got to accept that. And if you can't accept it, shh, you ain't got to try to bash that person for trying to tell the truth. Sometimes your mother told you if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. Shut up. Close your mouth. You ain't got to comment. You ain't got to be negative if you don't agree with it. So it's all good.
Facts. You want to say something, Nicole?
I was going to say, having a moral and standard, I would say now is optional and not required. And I don't know why that is, but it shouldn't be. And to Nina's comment, I mean, I would say, yes, the village has changed. I don't think I have Big Mama, but as me being an auntie, I do feel like it is a personal responsibility to carry myself a certain way, because I do know there are younger ones behind me. I have siblings that are 11 years younger than me, and I have nieces and nephews who I know look at me, look and see how I do things, and I think especially with children, again, that standard should be required, not optional. So, that is my take on that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think growing up, I don't think the standard was optional. I think that's the difference. I think stuff has become optional now. So I do agree with you on that, Lesson. I know growing up, me personally, the standard was not optional. You know what I'm saying, Lesson? My parents was gonna make sure, and and I'm not gonna leave my dad out of this. He was the same way. They was gonna make sure, that you was clean when you stepped out the house. Even in your play clothes wasn't all over the place either. You know what I'm saying? There was still standards in your play clothes. And like I said, that was just instilled in you. That was a part of this. Yeah, for sure. No, that was a part of the structure. Even when we was outside playing, the sweatpants didn't have holes all in them. You know what I'm saying? The socks wasn't all dingy and toe up. Like, that just wasn't the standard, man.
Hey, you had play shoes too. Get out them good shoes and go put your play shoes on. What's wrong with you? You know how much I spent on them shoes?
Exactly. So yeah, there was just standards, man. And like I said, and it was required. It was not optional. And like I said, I think parents and grandparents understood the importance of that, and they wanted to instill that in you so you knew how to carry yourself when they were not around. Like I said, that's the important part. When your parents were not around, how did you represent? Listen, I think that ties in partially to what we are seeing now. So with some of these folks, when their parents are not around, or when they're quote unquote grown, if you will, now we're seeing standards drop off. And I'm gonna go on the limb and say this. This may be an assumption, but I'm just gonna go on the limb and say it. A lot of these folks that we see doing these things, I'm going to say that they probably weren't raised like that. I'm just gonna say that. Now, that may not be accurate for everybody. That's just my own. I'm gonna say that on me, right? They probably weren't raised like that. But like I said, people will tend to do different things, when they become grown, and they can be good or bad. But I'm sure a lot of these folks probably were not raised like that. And at the end of the day, like I said, I understand, living your life. I get it. But you still can represent yourself and carry yourself, and represent yourself in a positive light. If that shouldn't go away, no matter how old you get. Like I said, at the end of the day, some of the cleanest folks that you will ever see are older. 70, 80, 90 years old. Maybe barely walking, but they're going to be clean.
Grandma always fleeky. It's crazy. Makeup done, hair done, Gold though, I'm like, damn. I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. Period.
It's a
Always.
You still get chose at 93.
Facts. Yeah, facts. But see, that's those standards. Yep, that's that care about what you present. You know, like I said, I think about my grandparents, you know, like I said, they were older. You know, my granddad, you know, he was still, pants was creased all the time. Even when he was in the house, the Dickies was creased. You know what I'm saying? My grandma, she was sitting over there at the table watching TV, playing her numbers. She was still clean. Wasn't even really going out like that unless she had to go out for something important, but she still was clean, even in her house clothes. And see, for me, that just reflects back to standards. She's not even talking about going out in the public. She might have some company come over. So she want to make sure she's presentable if company come over. So yeah, we can't lose that. We gotta get that back. We gotta maintain that. Because I think that's important. And it just speaks to, in general, it speaks to us or speaks to us as a people, or speaks about us as a people, if you will. And we got to get back to that. Let me grab this comment from Peter. He said, I agree with everything said, but also have to account that people are going to dress according to what they see on a daily basis, whether that's music videos, TV shows, friends, work, etc. Some people don't have the finances or even the knowledge of correct presentation. And Peter, okay. So I agree with some of your points there. The one that I do want to latch on to is the last half of your comment, where you say whether that's music videos, TV shows, friends, work, etc. We got to be careful about what we take in. Like we take in a lot of garbage, and we try to make it normal, and that's a part of the problem too. We got to stop just taking in anything and normalizing it. That's not a good look. And then two, I want to touch on that second point that you made. Some people don't have the finances or even the knowledge of correct presentation. So if we do have people that don't have the knowledge of correct presentation, then what we really need to do is we need to stop trying to cancel people like Monique, who's trying to tell you or give you some tips around what correct presentation looks like. Yeah, but that's real talk. Like I said,
mentors. I said there's books, there's mentors. I used to hate my mom for this quote. Not hate her as a person, but I used to hate this quote because I'm a video game head, and she says, baby, whatever game you put into the video game is what you're gonna get out. I don't care if you put in a race car game is gonna show up, no matter what you do. So you got to understand what you put in your mind if you want to use it like a video game. If you put garbage in it, that's exactly what you're going to wind up producing. You have to look at what you are feeding it. What are you feeding yourself? And at the same time, I do think social media has an influence. I do think music videos have an influence. I do think marketing has an influence. It's proven, right? But I think great parenting has a bigger influence than that.
That part right there.
And I think that's where we're falling short. I think we're falling short in that because we're allowing our children to walk out into a world unprepared and then wonder why we have the results that we have. Well, I was always told a long time ago, you know how you could tell when you're a good leader? By the following. And who's following the person, not the leader, but who's following the leader and what they look like. And so when it comes to parenting, we have to step up and do a better job. It's too many broken homes, it's parents that can't get along. I fall into the category, fell short in that area. You know what I mean? Got to be honest about things. And we have to understand that our children work like little video games because what they see, they're going to want to reflect, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. So forget just your brand. What type of legacy are you leaving? And if you want to leave a legacy of what bonnets or sagging or whatever else, then you can't get upset at the results what that leads to or the perspective of how you're seen. So my question is, what type of brand are you, and what type of legacy do you want your brand to leave? Because it makes an impact on who's watching you. And before any kid watches any music video or any social media, they're looking at you. Who are you? And what are you representing? Are you your child's hero, or somebody in the music video their hero? And the only reason why that person in the music video probably became their hero is because you probably wasn't doing your job to be their hero. So who are you? And how are you showing up? And what are you representing? And the question is, what do you want to leave? What type of fruit will your tree bear?
Facts. Facts. Let me grab Erica's comment. She said, it's sad because children don't look up to their parents anymore. They look up to what they see on social media. And yeah, Les, I know Los just touched on that. And like I said, there's some validity to what you're saying, Erica. Like I said, there's so many influences that, you know, children have easy access to, good and bad. But I think it is up to parents and family and their support circle or support team, if you will, to continue to instill those values, you know, instill that structure, instill those morals and standards, so that in, you know, or in the hopes that when they do see these things on social media or in the world, if you will, that they know how to respond to it, or they know how to block it out, or they know how to ignore it. And I know sometimes that can be, you know, easier said than done, but we still have to maintain that, because there's always going to be some type of outside influence. But let's say you got to give that structure, so they know how to handle those influences, you know, when they're presented with those influences. So, but no, you're right on with that. There's definitely an issue there. Go ahead, Los.
Don't you know, when it comes to those influencers, think, first of all, look what we call them. Influencers. How they got that name. And if they're the influencers, what are you doing? What type of impression you making? And what's even scarier is the videos you watching, your kids watching. You don't want to believe that, but they got the same access to the same things that you looking at on TikTok. I remember when we were growing up that you had PG-13, you had, you know, rated X, you had there was levels to it, and everyone wasn't allowed access to these different levels. But in 2021, it seems like the floodgates are open. And sometimes you might have to go over there and check your child's tablet. You might have to go check that history. And some of y'all gonna be surprised. But that's part of parenting. What type of example are we setting with our brand? And how do we want to let's say, let's just talk to our people, right? Let's say today or tomorrow we woke up and America said, what is it that y'all want? We're gonna give y'all everything y'all want for equality. And we got the equality, right? No more racism, no more this, no more that. What type of brand would you want to show up? Who would you be in that moment? I'm just asking, how will we show up to the table of equality? Will we show up with the bonnets, the do-rags, pants sagging, draws out, everything else? Would that be the legacy that we would want to leave for the future? Maybe some people say yeah, maybe some people don't. Just educate me on how would you show up. If today was your last day on earth and you had to pass something down to your future, how would you show up? Would you show up with the bonnet? Would you show up with the do-rag? Would you show up with your pants sagging? Would that be what you would want to pass on? Or would you show up differently? I don't know. I can't speak for you. But I know for me and my boys, I got to show up right. Because if I don't save them, it ain't nobody else's job to save them. I pray to God that he would allow someone to cross their life that would show them enough love like Monique did. But how many people like Monique would want to step up if that's the same person that you want to crucify for doing the right thing? What happened to it takes a village to raise a neighborhood? What happened to I'm going to tell your parents to help you get right? What happened to just honesty and truth? What happened to just a correction so that way you don't have to make the same mistakes? What happened to someone saying that, hey, I've been here and I done fell down this, and you don't have to step on the same mine that I stepped on. Let me teach you how you can navigate these waters so that way you don't have to go through the same struggle. When did we become so arrogant that we are above correction and help? Just wanting to know. So if this was your last day, how would you show up? Would you want to be in your casket in a bonnet? Would you want to be in your casket looking nice? I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. Usually when I go to a funeral, I see everybody casket sharp. I ain't been to too many funerals with everybody in their bonnet. If you was on your way to heaven or whatever you wanted to believe, and Jesus was right here, right now, how would you want to show up? Even though he said, don't get me wrong, the Bible says, come as you are. So I'm not judging you, not judging you. But if you had an opportunity to present yourself, why is it that you can show up to a job interview looking right, but you don't want to show up for yourself the same way? So you can go show up for someone else's rules, someone else's 9 to 5, someone else's payment, someone else's dream, someone else's everything. But then you don't have the audacity to show up for yourself like that. I'm just wondering. I ain't judging. I ain't saying whatever it is. I'm just asking you a real honest question. If you had to show up for the person in the mirror, what would you do? If you had to save the person in the mirror, how would you show up? Those are the real questions, because we can't fix the bigger problem in life that we want until we address the one right there in front of us. And we got to show up differently. And in order to create the changes that we want in our life, we got to show up differently. And Quay brought up something that was very important. It's a muscle. It's a muscle that our parents instill in us from when we are kids. You just don't wake up one day and have the discipline of dressing nice, combing your hair, ironing your clothes. It is a muscle that you have to consistently do over and over again, where when you wake up, you feel uncomfortable if you don't do it. I don't care whatever you've done in life, whatever you like in life, it has always been a muscle of something that you consistently did to become good at it. So in order to change your brand, your lifestyle, whatever it is that you want, you got to change your muscles, and that's going to take work. And that's going to take someone like Monique or someone like your grandmother or somebody important to your life to remind you, hey, baby, that ain't it. We got, no. Chloe, get her fingers. What you ain't going to do. Nicole, Chloe, y'all got anything? What, we got any comments?
Yeah, you summed it up. You summed it up right there. There's nothing else to be said. You broke it down. So it'll forever and consistently be broke.
Yeah. I'm good, Quay. I just look, check this out. I'm gonna show up on the show differently. I mean, I know me and Quay was playing our game. We're good cop, bad cop. You know what I mean? But I will, from now on, go back and forth where I address consistently, and then I want to be able to address from where I come from. You know what I mean? And this isn't me downplaying anything what we're talking about, but this is me being able to be relatable. It's about being relatable. And what I'm saying to that is I want to be able to show the people where I come from, Benton Harbor, Michigan, where really ain't nothing out there, that we can come from nothing and show everybody. It don't matter where you start, it matter where you finish. We can play both parts. You know, Oscar Michelle, I think he called it code switching or, you know, whatever else. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with you being you. And then there's nothing wrong with being the grown version of you. For my Bible thumpers, when I was a child, I played as a child. But when I became an adult, I put childish things away. There's a time and place for everything. So don't worry, Quay. I got you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got you. Feel me? I'm about to get in my bag. A little bit. And if you ain't got any money, go to Ross. Go to Ross and get a nice shirt. I don't want to hear that. You can go get a $10, $15 shirt from Ross. Stop playing with me. Come on, man. We know how to shop. If you can wait in line to go get some Jordans, people dying over some shoes that don't even belong to them, you can't tell me that you can't go ahead and get out there and look a little swaggito. I mean, we could do that. We could dress. Look at Black Wall Street. Look at our ancestors and how they rolled. We can't forget. We can't fall asleep. We can't become lazy in that. We got so many people out there just out there doing it. For real. So we got to do it. Look better, feel better, energy's better, mental clarity, spiritual. You know what I'm saying? We gotta. There's 3 different type of baths we gotta take. 3. We're gonna do a show on that too, Clay. It's gonna be good. Gotta take a mental bath, a spiritual bath, and a physical bath. Right? We do the 3rd one. We take a physical bath because we know if we don't take a physical bath, we're gonna stink. But if we ain't washing our mind, our body, and our soul, what's going on with them too? The last time you washed your mind? When's the last time you cleaned out your soul? You know, and got all that right? Because once all 3 and all are in alignment, then you can be deeply rooted within yourself. And it doesn't matter what's on Instagram or on Facebook or on this and that, because you know how to turn it off. Sometimes we don't even know how to turn off the poison because we're so comfortable in being in it. I'm gonna stop. Y'all gonna have a little bit of church up and get started up in here.
I know we're about to get ready to wrap. Nicole or Chloe, y'all got anything y'all want to say in closing? All right. Now, we appreciate y'all coming on and giving y'all perspective. And like I said, let me just throw a little point out to the fellas out here, you know. So the ladies get on the show, they talk about it all the time. They want a brother who know how to dress. They want a brother to smell good. What they say, they want the salt and pepper. Something about the salt and pepper beard or something like that. They want you to make sure your hair is trimmed up, make sure your hair fits you. Like I said, these are just a couple of the things. So fellas, pull the pants up, put a belt on, wear your proper size. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Here they go in the comments, beard gang. You see what I'm saying? Well, fellas, wear your proper size. Make sure you smell good. Take a little shower. Make sure you present yourself when you step out. Like I said, the ladies like that. They talk about it all the time. You know, and then the same, like I said, you know, from the male perspective to the ladies. When you're at the airport, and I'm just going to use Monique's video. When you're at the airport, ladies, don't come in there with the bonnet on. I understand being comfortable and all that. Don't come in there with the bonnet on. Don't come in there with the slippers on. It's like, come on now. Yo, Mr. Right. He might be over in the Spirit line right next to you.
It's a Spirit.
That's right. He might be over at the Delta line right next to you, trying to get him a ticket to South Beach, just like you. And you might miss out on that, brother, because you just didn't put that little piece into your brand that day. My bad. I had to take a shot at Spirit. You know, everybody been dogging Spirit lately, y'all. But yeah, you might miss out on your Mr. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because you just didn't put them couple little pieces into your presentation that day. So just think about that.
And fellas, you might be missing out on that beautiful lady, man. If you ain't approaching her right, you ain't got your stuff together, man. Let me tell you something. Every lady want a man to have their stuff together. They want security. They want protection. They want love. But if you're not representing that, how do you expect for her to take you serious? Look, trust. I'm telling y'all from my own personal experience of getting your shit together. You got to get it together for someone to believe in you, for someone wanting to follow you, for someone just to have the courage to say, you know what, I can do forever with this person because I see you going somewhere. But if you're not representing going anywhere, ain't nobody finna follow. It's that simple.
Yep, real talk. Well, yeah, man, you want to say anything in closing, man, or you want to wrap it right there, man?
Nicole, any closing statements? And don't act like we don't see your hair, Nicole. We see your hair.
Oh my God. People been talking about this hair.
Hold on. Let's do that. Hold on. Let's do this. Let's do this real quick. Let's do this real quick because I ain't forgot. So we just want to say a big happy belated to Nicole.
Thank you.
Quay, sing happy birthday to her.
Oh,
Lord.
Chloe, start the song.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I had to cry.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
You want to say
Happy
anything
birthday.
closing it
Girl,
off?
why your hair look like that on your birthday, girl? Oh my goodness.
I mean, the nails done
Whoa,
too, you
whoa,
know.
hold up, hold up,
Whoa,
hold up.
wait a minute. Wait
Hold
a
up.
minute, child.
Okay, Pete.
Pete threw the thumbs up. Okay, Peter, I see it.
Lord. So I got a whole comment from this one of these guys at work. What dude? I was like, we was on the meeting. I'm like, you did not. I was ready to log off. He was like, I like the hair, Nicole. I'm like, sir,
Yes. Yeah.
sir, we on a meeting with our team. I'm gonna need you not to do that.
Learn how to say thank you.
I did, but I wasn't ready to click off. I was like, no, Jesus.
Oh man. No, shout out. Everybody throwing the happy birthday. Like I said, Peter gave you the thumbs up on the hair.
You know?
Yeah, I want to make sure we note that Peter gave you the thumbs up on the
Oh my
head.
God.
Don't forget that. Don't forget
Hey,
that,
Pete, put that
Nicole.
back up. Put that back up again. Put that up for Pete one more time.
Really? Really?
Your hair.
Jesus. Jeez, I'm so done with all y'all.
Oh man, we got to get off
They're
here.
gonna make that emoji.
You want to say anything closing, Nicole? We got to get off here.
I would just say, you know, it is best to keep it classy and make that a requirement.
Yeah, the hair is a requirement.
For sure. No, I agree with that. You want to say anything, Chloe? You good?
I wasn't going to, but you know, I'm just gonna say, let's stop expecting the worst from each other. Like, let's stop expecting the worst. Every time someone says something to you, they're not trying to come for you every time they say something to you. Sometimes be willing to receive something in love. Just be willing to receive something in love. Because a person who do really care about you most often will say something. A person who really could care less, a lot of times will keep their mouth shut and let you be out here looking all kinds of crazy and won't say nothing to you. So, I mean, if a person fixes their mouth and takes the time to try to speak to you, really speak to you, then receive it the way that it was delivered to you. And if it wasn't nasty or disrespectful or offensive, then maybe just receive it and say, okay, you know, just say, okay. Even if you don't always 100% agree with all the things, sometimes maturity is just being able to say, okay. And then if it fits, if it's relevant to you, it's relevant to you. If it's not, then you toss it out. But receive it, be able to receive it. I think sometimes we just, we too quick to dismiss everybody and throw everybody out, throw everybody away. If they're not agreeing with us, we just throw them away.
Facts. No, I agree with that. All right.
Pete's on fire tonight. Okay, Pete, I see you, Pete.
Yeah, Pete is on fire tonight. But let's say shout out to everybody who joined us tonight. Shout out to Peter and Nina and Erica Erickton down in the comments showing love. As always, we appreciate you guys more than you know. Like I said, if anybody watching us tonight, definitely, like, share, and subscribe, definitely help share the show out so we can continue to reach more people, and get these good messages to more people, and like I said, as we try to help, get people to look in the mirror and change their trajectories as a whole. We appreciate you guys once again. Like I said, we do this show every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, every Thursday night. You want to say anything, Los, before we wrap, man? Are you good, man?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna say this: the most important person for you to show up for is yourself. You can't show up for nobody else. You can't teach your children how to show up for themselves if you don't show them how you're supposed to show up for yourself. You got to show up for yourself. Times when we're tired and we don't want to feel like doing it, that's when you need to do it even more. You can't get blessed if you don't show up for your blessing. But if you're going to show up for your blessing, show up the right way. Period. In everything you do in life. If you woke up and you're blessed to see another day, show up for yourself because you didn't have to have today. No matter what you're going through, no matter all the bad things or whatever else that you might feel like be going wrong in life, somebody's going through something worse. So just wake up and show up for yourself. You know why? Because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to the day that you got to see, because you didn't have to be here, because everybody didn't get to see the day. So show up even when you don't feel like showing up, and practice that muscle and being consistent for yourself. If you consistently show up for yourself, you'll get different results in your life. I promise you. I mean, that's just one of the laws of life. That's one of the laws of attraction. If you continuously do something over and over and over again, you have no choice but to get better at it or learn from it. I promise you, if you show up for yourself, tomorrow will be different. No matter what, good or bad, because then you'll learn the lessons of yesterday to be better today. That's our show. Yeah.
All right, now we appreciate you guys. Once again, we'll see everybody next Thursday. And with that being said, everybody have an awesome night.
Yeet.